fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The rusty nail reeked of regret and stale comfort, a heady mix of spilled beer, fried onions clinging to the worn carpet, and the metallic tang of poor life choices. It was Ethan's haunt, or rather, my current occupation of Ethan's life. His friends gathered here with the predictability of tides. Liam, always nursing an IPA like a guarded secret. Claire, whose wind-chime laughter echoed just a shade too bright. And Marcus, whose gaze didn't just look, it devoured. I'd spent months studying them, dissecting Ethan's mannerisms until my muscles ached from mimicry. The way he cradled his glass, the hitch in his breath when amused, the precise tilt of his shoulders during conversation, even the unsettling crack of his knuckles, but the peanuts betrayed me. "Since when do you hate peanuts?" Marcus's voice rumbled through the bar, vibrating up from the floorboards to settle low in my belly. He leaned close, his forearm brushing mine, the heat of him searing through my borrowed shirt. Amber light caught the silver threads in his beard, illuminating the lines around his eyes, lines that spoke of nights spent watching, waiting. My throat tightened. "I don't hate them," I lied, pushing the bowl away. The words tasted bitter. Ethan had adored peanuts, the salt dusting his fingertips as he crushed shell after shell. But the gritty texture revolted my tongue, threatening to expose the imposter beneath the skin. Marcus's fingers grazed my wrist, a spark igniting where skin met skin. "You're not him," he murmured, voice thick with something darker than suspicion. My pulse raced not from fear but from the dangerous thrill of being seen. For the first time in years, someone looked past the mask, and I wasn't sure I wanted to hide anymore. As I sat there, the sounds of the bar swirled around me, the clinking glasses, the hum of conversation, the occasional burst of laughter. But my attention was fixed on Marcus, his eyes burning with an intensity that made my skin prickle. I felt like an insect under a microscope, my every move scrutinized, and yet I couldn't look away. "What makes you say that?" I asked, trying to sound nonchalant despite the turmoil brewing inside. Marcus's gaze never wavered. "You're different," he said, his voice low and husky. "The way you laugh, the way you move, it's all just a little off." I felt a shiver run down my spine as he spoke, his words echoing my deepest fears. What if they discovered my true identity? What if they found out I was just a pretender, a fake? The thought sent a wave of panic crashing through me, but I pushed it down, forcing myself to stay calm. "I've just been stressed lately," I said, trying to brush it off. "That's all." Marcus raised an eyebrow, his expression skeptical. "Stressed," he repeated. "You're always stressed, Ethan, but this is different. This is something more." I felt a bead of sweat trickle down my forehead as he spoke, my heart racing with anticipation. What did he know? How much had he guessed? And what did he want from me? The questions swirled in my mind like a maelstrom, each one more terrifying than the last. But before I could respond, Claire intervened, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "Hey guys, what's going on?" she asked, her eyes darting between Marcus and me. "Just discussing the meaning of life," Marcus said, his tone dry. Claire laughed, a bright, tinkling sound that seemed to shatter the spell that had fallen over us. "Oh yeah, and what's the verdict?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with amusement. Marcus smiled, a small, wry smile that seemed to hint at secrets untold. "Still undecided," he said, "but I'm working on it." The conversation flowed on from there, a meandering stream of words and laughter that seemed to wash away the tension that had built up between us. But I knew it was just a temporary reprieve, a brief moment of calm before the storm. Marcus's words had struck a chord deep within me, a chord that vibrated with fear and uncertainty, and I knew that I couldn't keep hiding forever. Eventually, the truth would come out, and when it did, I would have to face the consequences. The thought sent a shiver down my spine, a cold, creeping dread that seemed to seep into my very bones. But for now, I just smiled and laughed and played along, pretending to be someone I'm not, pretending to be Ethan. As the night wore on, the bar grew louder, the music pulsating through the air like a living thing. I lost myself in the rhythm, letting the beat wash over me like a wave. But even as I danced and laughed, my mind was elsewhere, my thoughts consumed by Marcus and his piercing gaze. What did he want from me, and how long would it take him to uncover my secret? The questions swirled in my mind, a constant, nagging presence that refused to be silenced. And I knew that I would have to find a way to answer them sooner or later. The music slowed, the lights dimming as the bar began to close. I felt a pang of disappointment, a sense of loss that I couldn't quite explain. But as I turned to leave, Marcus caught my arm, his fingers wrapping around my wrist like a vice. "Hey," he said, his voice low and husky. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" I felt a jolt of electricity run through me, a spark of anticipation that seemed to ignite my very soul. "What is it?" I asked, trying to sound nonchalant despite the turmoil brewing inside. Marcus's eyes locked onto mine, his gaze burning with an intensity that made my skin prickle. "I want to know what's going on," he said, his voice low and urgent. "I want to know what's really going on." I felt a shiver run down my spine as he spoke, my heart racing with anticipation. What did he know, and how much was he willing to risk to uncover the truth? The questions swirled in my mind, a maelstrom of fear and uncertainty. But as I looked into Marcus's eyes, I knew that I had to make a choice. I could keep hiding, keep pretending to be someone I'm not, or I could take a chance, roll the dice, and see what happened. The thought sent a thrill of excitement through me, a sense of possibility that seemed to stretch out before me like a road, and I knew that I would have to take that road no matter where it led. "Let's talk," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Marcus's eyes flashed with triumph, a small, satisfied smile playing on his lips. "I thought you'd see it my way," he said, his voice low and husky. And with that, he pulled me out of the bar into the cool, dark night where anything seemed possible.